Awesome. Hey, everyone. My name is Jamie Prickett. Thanks for jumping on. I'm not sure what we have in mind for today, JT, but I'm excited to answer any questions and just be here to hopefully share some nuggets that might help people maybe get unstuck if they're stuck, or maybe reach higher levels if you're looking to reach higher levels. Maybe you're already having a great business. Maybe things are already cranked for you. I find it hilarious that I'm doing this with you, Jeremy, JT, with lead stuff because I've never bought a lead in my life. So it's kind of funny.
That's good because neither have I. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, that's the whole point. The whole point is how can we get out here and market ourselves without ever buying one? I think you and I started at the same place, and here in a second I'm going to go back. I want to go back and ask you some questions
Well,
about how
don't
you
don't
started.
say where we started. I see Brandon Kovac on here. You don't want to mention that
I
company name.
I know he'll take over, and then we'll all have an hour
Yeah,
of no.
yeah,
All
yeah, that's so true.
but no, I think we started the same place, and we were taught never to get leads. That's maybe the one, or never to buy leads. Well, now there might be some people there were taught never to get leads, but we were taught never to buy leads, and so because of that, I developed a natural ability. I mean, maybe helps being in business before, but the whole idea here is we're looking to help people grow their businesses. So I know that you'll be able to help out. So let me ask you something, Jamie. What did Jamie want to be when he grew up? What was your start?
First of all, I wanted to be a rapper. I grew up in the
Like a
area.
rapper, rap presence, or like a
Yeah, like
rapper,
I want
like
to be a rapper, man. Naughty by
Tupac?
Nature. Tupac, Biggie. These are my guys in high school. Younger years was Naughty by Nature, Run DMC. These guys. Vanilla Ice came out, and I'm like, man, white people can do it too. Check this out. Uh, so that's truth be told. And then from there, I got into wrestling competitively, and my dream was I didn't care about high school. I'm not a dumb guy, but I did not care about high school. I skipped more than I attended. I barely made it through high school with a D plus average. I think I had 59% was my average, but it took me 5 years to finish 4 years because in Canada at the time they had a grade 13, but I was still doing grade 12 and grade 13 just so I could stick around the wrestling team because my dream was to be an Olympic gold medalist. There was another guy in the 96 Olympics named Daniel Agali from Canada, and he migrated to Canada from Nigeria. He became an Olympic gold medalist, and I found out that he got on the box of Cheerios and they paid him $1 million endorsement. This is in the 90s. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. I just got to become an Olympic gold medalist. Well, fast forward another 5, 6 years later, I was cracking the top five in Canada, but far from a gold medalist in the Olympics. And I ended up getting recruited into Primerica at 21 years of age. I was already living on my own. I had my first child. I was married already. I already owned a home. I was working in a factory, just paycheck to paycheck. And I ended up joining Primerica. And at the time, you had to go full time in the industry in Canada because they had some rules up here up until 2004. So in 2001, I'm 21 years old. I put everything at risk. I went into Primerica and I went broke. Lost my house, my wife, and a dog, the whole thing, and struggled for the next 10 years. I managed to make 100 grand a year finally, but that was after I met my now wife, Leanne, many years into my Primerica venture. I met her at Primerica and we ended up making 100,000 combined income. So we got the Super Bowl ring,
All
and
right.
we were still broke. We have 4 kids at the time. Now we have 9 because we're in the process of adopting 5 others that are in our home for the last 2 years. But with 4 kids, 100 grand in income, office expenses, everything else, business expenses, we were still struggling. And then I left Primerica after 10 years. And 2 years after that, we launched Experior. So that's kind of my life in a nutshell.
That was a ride. That was quite the ride from rapper to wrestler to financial agent. Did
That's right.
did it ever cross your mind before you met the people at Primerica? Did it ever cross your mind that you wanted to be in financial services?
No, as a matter of fact, when the guy was sitting down with me at the kitchen table doing his presentation, it found out here in Canada we have something called mortgage insurance, which is a insurance. It's like a decreasing term attached to your mortgage, and I had that on my mortgage, so it's not a very good product. And he showed me how to buy term with Primerica for about the same price, and it was a better product because it was level term. I think I bought a 30-year term at the time or something, so that made sense. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll do this. Get rid of this decreasing term product. I wasn't interested in life insurance, but then the guy says to me, he goes, hey, by the way, Jamie, do you know anyone that's, entrepreneurial or maybe looking at starting their own business? And I was like, well, I'm doing tattooing and piercing. So that's another part of my story. I was doing tattooing and piercing. as well. And I wasn't really doing a good job because I was a decent artist. But man, when you start doing it with a gun, it's a different technique. I mean, I botched a few bodies and pierced some body parts we can't talk about here, and never really got paid for it either. It was kind of like doing it for buddies at the time. And I said, well, I'm doing that. I'm doing these piercing things, but why? And I'm looking at my buddy Chad because he was doing his training, right? I was one of my buddies, Chad's at the time he was training. Well, I knew that Chad went to university, right? I never did. So I just kind of assumed that maybe Chad got into this job at Primerica Financial Services because he's smart and went to university. And when they said I could do it, I was like, whoa, you're saying I don't have to work in a factory anymore? I could do what you're doing? And they're like, well, yeah, we're looking at blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm in. And then it was like 45 days later, I passed my test, got my license, and then the rest is history. Never look back.
That's good. I have to tell you, I don't remember reading about the tattoos and the piercings in the book. I think
Yeah.
might have skipped that one. Maybe that's for the next book. I don't know.
There's one other extracurricular somewhere in there that I'm not going to discuss here either. But yeah,
I got to tell you, I think I've learned. I'm blown away. If nothing else, I had no clue. So, but that's good. I need to get one finished up. So maybe I'll catch up with you after convention.
all right.
Let's see what we can do.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
That's good. What would you say? So you got recruited in Primerica at 21. What's the benefits and what's the downside of getting recruited into something as serious as financial services is serious? What's the downside and what's the upside of being recruited into it at that age and with that lack of experience?
Well, the downside is that most people at that age are going to have a harder time than people that are maybe in their 30s or 40s because they've got a market around them that, people are going to trust them a little more. They're a little bit more gray in the face, and the hair's gone a little bit. People naturally going to trust you a little bit more because you don't look young. So one thing I did as a young guy is, and my upline taught me this, is when I sat down with a family, I was 21, but I was still training in wrestling. So I looked like I was 17 years old. Like I looked young. And I would sit down with these couples that were like in their 40s. And by the way, I wasn't your typical Primerica guy, go recruit everyone, throw them against the wall, see what sticks. I was a producer. Most of the reason I made 100 grand there is because I sold, right? 99% of my income came from me selling. And I did a lot of mutual funds up here in Canada and did term life insurance, which, we don't get paid that great at Primerica, but that's how I did it. And I would just tell the people right off the bat, I said, hey, listen, you're probably looking at me like I'm some snot-nosed, runny little kid. And you're right, I'm young, but I don't want you to judge me. Judge the message I'm going to share with you. The information I'm going to share with you has been around for decades. And that's kind of how I started. So I tell people the same thing in Experior when they're sharing the opportunity. If they're a little bit young, just overcome that up front. Say, hey, I know you're looking at me like I'm young. The benefit is I'm going to be here when you die, maybe, right? Joke with them,
Right.
But the other thing is the information I'm sharing with you is not new information. So don't judge the messenger, judge the message that I'm going to share and how I can, potentially help your family.
That's good. I hope people are listening when you said that. In fact, I hope they're listening when you say a lot because there's a lot of nuggets in that. Don't judge the messenger, judge the message. So one of the phenomena I discovered recently and actually led to this group was that there's a lot of people who are recruited to our industry that would have never otherwise thought about it. And this is a great industry and it's a great opportunity. So it's like some people are being recruited to it, then they get here and they get lost, they don't know what to do. So that's why I was curious about, what's the good, what was the good part about it? What was the best part?
And sorry, I'll say, and actually part of the good for me at 21 years of age in Canada, Primerica, it was mandatory that you were full time. And that's like hard enough to make a living in Primerica if you do it 10 years part time to transition.
Right.
We all know it's very difficult for a lot of people to succeed there. But I managed to have what Primerica would call success. I got the ring, but like I said, I was still broke at the ring. But I'll tell you this, I learned so much because the office that I got recruited into was a sales focused office, not a recruiting focused office. So they taught me how to make money, not big money, but enough that I could kind of get by. I lasted 10 years there full time. And I didn't quit when I was at the bottom of the barrel and down and out. I was actually on track to have one of my better years, cash flow wise. So I didn't leave when things were the worst, right? So I think what Primerica did for me is number one, it kept me humble, because I think that, I see people like John Morant. I'm a big basketball fan. John Morant, some of you might know the story. He's waving a gun around in some Instagram videos and doing some things, acting a fool because he's a young guy. He's from the hood, and he's trying to play the part like he's the bad boy and ball and stuff. And I'm looking at him. People are judging him. Go, man, this guy's an idiot. He just got millions of dollars and all these endorsement deals. By the way, I own like 5 John Morant shoes. I love the Nike Jordans he's got. But I like. I'm watching all these people judge this guy, and I'm like, he's 21 years old. I mean, he doesn't have a clue, and all of a sudden he's got millions of dollars. He's just acting like a fool. Justin Bieber, when he got his DUI in his 20s, I'm not justifying him getting a DUI, but I also empathize with him a little bit. Okay, he's speeding around in a supercar. Okay, maybe you were super mature at 21, but nowadays, man, it's tough. Like most kids don't, have their brains fully functioning till they're 25, men until we're like 30. And these guys are worth millions of dollars at 19 years old, 21 years old. Justin Bieber at like 15 years old. My heart goes out to them. So partly I am thankful to God that I didn't have any success at all, really, in my 20s, because I might have just screwed it up. So I think it was kind of God's way of saying, you got to stay here, son, until you're mature enough to handle some of the wealth that might come your way one day.
That's good. He put you in a place where you'd mature. That's something that this business, if you stick around and you listen to your mentors, it will mature you, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I had a good mentor while I was there. Again, it's kind of like a cult, though. When you leave, it's like you're the devil now, right? But while I was there, he was a great, great dude. But became a piece of dirt when I left. But that's unfortunate. That's how it goes. But by the way, one of my things that I'm very, very critical about is that if someone leaves our company, and they do all the time, people come and go, you treat them with the same level of respect that you treated them when they joined you. You don't start treating them bad because they decided to go down another path. And by the way, on a side note, our highest income earner in the US is a guy that actually quit Experior and then came back 6 months later. We
Wow.
treated him good on the way out, released his book right away. He realized the grass wasn't greener. Now he's with us. He's one of our biggest earners.
That's good stuff, Jamie. That is good stuff. I agree with you on that. And I can tell you, I've been involved in churches. I know we're both believers. And I remember one time I left a church to pastor a church. And I would bump into people in my hometown in the supermarket, and they would say, boy, it's just such a shame you don't come to our church anymore. And I was like, hey, you do know you guys support my church up the road, right? We're a missionary church. So I get that feeling because it's sometimes it's like that. When you leave one company, they act like, something happened. What causes that? Philosophy or just competition or a little bit of both?
Um, I honestly, this is my opinion. I think that it's because they have to play defense so much with a lot of our competitors. A lot of the recruiting models, they're always playing defense. And then you got a company like ours that's actually competitive. I mean, we've got an amazing comp plan for a builder. There's no other place to go, in my opinion. I even say for producers, we're one of the top. I mean, we got some great comp. We're not always going to be the best, of course, but we're very competitive. And I just say that when you have nothing to hide, you're not upset or delusional when someone leaves you. It's when you have something to hide. I was on a webinar right before this, and I shared with the guy. I said, I find that with a lot of companies, the less somebody knows about them, the more likely they are to join it. With Experior, I feel like with the way we built it, it's like the more somebody knows about it, the more likely they are to join it, because we're not hiding anything and we want people to know the truth. And by the way, after we've shared everything there is to share about what we have and it's not a fit for you, God bless you, do your thing. But get the information. Don't listen to some donkey that's working with a 3-lettered IMO that's telling you, we're the greatest. We recruited 30,000 people in the last 15 minutes. Shut up. Like, all you did was move from here to there. Like, move on, you know?
I agree with that. I really do. And I would agree with you too. It seems to me like my interviews are different than they used to be at a previous company. There's more 1 and 2 visit interviews, and then somebody wants to come on afterwards. So I'd agree with that. So when you were at Primerica and you left, did you leave to start another company, or did you leave because you were disgruntled, or just is it, and this is a risk. What's what Art always say? This is a locker room, brother. So you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. No, I had no thoughts of joining another or starting a company. I wouldn't have the first freaking clue how to. Number one, in Canada, it's so different. There's so much compliance and regulatory. When we eventually did 2 years later start our own company, we had already built up a track record with one carrier where we're doing a lot of business, and we were mostly selling term life insurance. I was a termite. That's where I came from. That's all I was, still kind of in a bubble a little bit. Very little was permanent. And anyway, we started with one carrier, so we were kind of captive to one carrier for the first 6 months, and then we did enough volume, we knocked out another one. we eventually got to the point where about 4 years ago, we got the biggest contract in the industry, which was with Manulife. That's one where they haven't given out contracts in years to MGAs, we call them in Canada. And we managed to knock out that contract. I think we're the last one to ever get that contract direct. And we were the first one in like 4 years to get it. Right now, we're probably about the number 5 MGA in Canada. But it took us like, we were nothing. Canada's kind of built around 6 big MGAs and WFG and Primerica and Experior. And now we're into that top 5 range with the big ones. So there's really only a few. Like, it's not like the States where everyone and their uncle's trying to start an IMO and pretending it's a real company when they don't even have a single person on staff. I mean, we got 120 people on payroll, right? I mean, like, we're running a real operation. We put 4 million into our tech last year. People are like, why do you have a monthly fee? It's like, well, look at what you got. You got like $800 a month worth of value when you look at our HPN University, the LMS we haven't even seen yet, we're building, all the tools, the resources. Like, it boggles my mind that it's like, okay, well, go do it yourself and pay a couple $1,000 a month to have what you have at your disposal, right? So we wanted to build a real company, but we started with kind of nothing and just building it from scratch. And the reason we started it was more important than, anything else. The reason we started it was I wanted to get back at the idiots that told me I couldn't and told me I'm a loser for leaving. Like, I wanted to shove it in their face. I'm a fighter. It's part of my wrestling background. My wife, on the other hand, she's the balance. Okay. I'm the yin, she's the yang, I guess, or whatever. She wanted to save people. She's like, man, there's so many people that are hurting like we were in this industry. And we found the secret sauce. We found a way to do it right. And that's what we did,
I love that.
I hate our industry, but I love what we do. I hate our industry. And some of our leaders say, Jamie, you got to stop saying you hate our industry. I'm like, but it's true. I do hate it. It's corrupt. There's so much lies and deceit going on. And all we want to do is just tell people the truth. And if you don't like it, great. You don't have to like it. Go do something you like. But
right.
Man, don't spread lies. Don't tell stories. Like, I'm going to tell people the truth about their company if they're at a company, just like I'll tell the truth about our company if they're at a company. But I find that a lot of people, sometimes the people that talk the most are the ones that know the least. Right. And we get a lot of that. So, I mean, I got to sit there sometimes on these Facebook groups and stuff. I just got to bite my tongue. Like, I swear I got to wear handcuffs or something before I look at the computer screen to see some of the junk that's being said. It's like, oh, gosh, if only people knew, but.
I know I had it in our group today, and I know Brandon he has a group that's got 125,000 in it. We got one that has 100 or 50,000. And I had the guy say, this group is ran by Experior agents. You can tell. And it was a derogatory thing. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, buddy. I went and asked him. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Because we need to talk. You might not be in the group no more. Now, I didn't say that part, but it worked out. He said, it's just because it seems like Experior agents always talk first. I said, well, maybe they're just excited about what they got to say. So,
well, it's like, look at this. I mean, you look at one of our, I don't even call them a competitor. I mean, it's not even close to a competitor. I'm not trying to be derogatory here, but there's a company that started maybe 1 year ago, and they're apparently taking over the industry and taking over the world, and that's awesome. But you'll notice that you don't see a lot of people jumping in and saying stuff, even though they apparently have 5 times more agents than we have. Then why aren't we seeing more of that in those groups? And I think it's because they don't know how to say what they need to say that makes any sense. I look at a lot of what our agents say, and our agents, nobody's perfect, man. I mean, we've had to call some people out in our company. We had one guy, and I love the guy, but we had to ban him from groups. We're like, dude, you're just doing it wrong. You're not allowed in groups anymore. Right? Like, you're messing up the image of the company. So I tell people, if you see someone that's acting a fool and Experior and they're saying some embarrassing, stupid things, bring it to me and I'll send it to our compliance team, have them have a talk with them, say, listen, you look like a dummy. You can do this a little better. Sometimes, Jeremy, I don't know. Sorry, you go by JT, right?
JT's fine. Jeremy, either way. As long as I'm talking to you, I don't care what you call me.
Okay. All right. So JT, if I'm on the group, and sometimes you'll see a post, right? You'll see a post and I don't know who it is, and I'll click on the name and I'll go to their profile, and I'm praying as I'm going to the profile, please don't be an Experior agent.
Right.
And then I see that they're with XYZ, and I'm like, yes, thank God.
God spared me on that one. I'm with you on that one, buddy. I get it. And I tell you, I didn't even do this, but we had a person in one of our groups. They wouldn't say what company they're with. And the rule is you got to say what company you recruit with,
Right.
right? And it's got to be in your post. And they argued and argued and argued. But finally, we had to take the post down, but we gave them like 25 chances. Another agent, not an Experior agent, but somebody else actually sent me a private message where they had reached out to their own, they were with that company and they reached out to their compliance department, and the compliance department said, we require, as per our company, anybody that posts, please state the name of our company first. And I was like, wow, they were trying to hide it. I mean, they must have been ashamed. I don't know. I mean, that's what it looked like because their own company
Yeah.
said to put it out there. But so let me ask you a question, man. You know, one of the things that interested me about you is I first of all, we started the same place, so I know it wasn't an easy road. Okay. Then I've read your book. I know you went through a lot of ups and downs just getting to the place where you could start Experior. And then I'm sure, as a guy that's been in other businesses, that Experior wasn't no cherry cakewalk the whole way. What's been your driving force, and has your driving force changed since you were younger? Like what made you keep on going when you were younger, but what makes you keep on going now?
So honestly, my haters motivate me more than ever. And I'm not just saying that because it's a cool thing to say. I even got a hat that says I love haters. Honest to God, I freaking love our haters, man. Oh, dude. Every time someone opens their stupid mouth and says something about me in a meeting at one of their meetings and it gets back to me, I'm like, yeah, baby. Yeah, let's go. I can't wait to prove them wrong too. Oh, I'm so excited. So it's like the more that someone says about me or our company, it's like it just fires me up. Like I don't know why I'm weird that way. Some people don't like it. They're like, "Oh man, can you believe someone said this?" When they say it to me, I'm like, "Yeah, bro, that's awesome. Look what they're saying." I get excited about it. I'm a fighter. I love the fight, and I feel like I'm doing this with a purpose. You know, I'm not doing this to make money, right? If we wanted to make money, we would have sold the integrity like everyone else did, right? They came to
Right,
us.
that's right.
You know, there's insurance companies. There's a handful now, like small handful, I guess three, if I'm not exaggerating, three insurance companies that would buy us tomorrow. Our valuation, even at a low teen multiplier on our EBITDA, which is our total company, you know, what we earn before taxes after everything else is paid. We operate right now around an 8.5% EBITDA, which is really low. But when you're doing nine figures, you know, like our company is, you know, it's still a handsome number, but we could sell the company without any sort of issue right now for over $100 million. I right now own approximately 75% of the company. The other 25 is owned by our executive directors. So I could cash out. Let's say we get a buck 30, buck 25 for it. I could cash out, be worth nine figures tomorrow. That's cool. But then what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I'm 45 years young. I don't just like what I do, I freaking love it. Like I get up and I'm happy to go to work. Like I don't know what I would do. I was on vacation last week, bro. I'm not kidding you, man. It rained a couple of days in Mexico. I'm like, shit, I wish I was at the office right now. Like I could be calling someone, but I can't because you know, got the wife and kids here and we're busy. We had six of our kids were with us. Our three oldest didn't come. But man, it's like I love what I do. What else am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I got some promises I made to some people. So I'm going to stay true to those promises. I'm going to be here, God willing, till I'm 100 years old, crawling up on that stage and talking about we're going to win. You know.
I love it, man. I love it. That is good. I'm glad you're a fighter too, by the way. By the way, guys, I told Jamie when I asked him, come on, and you guys have been around here know this. I don't really do gotcha questions, because I'm here to help these people learn. I'm not here to, expose something, right? But Jamie was like, hey man, just give it to me raw. Don't send me no list. Cause I told him I'll go over review stuff. And he's like, no. He's like, that's not, he said, let's do it this way. And so I appreciate that about you, Jamie. I really, really do. When you're out, when you're a new person, like you're talking to people in this group right now, and some of them are hanging on by a thread, and maybe they don't have that same drive and fight yet. Maybe they haven't carried a benefit check to a family that lost a loved one. Maybe they just haven't made no money yet. What do you say to that person that's wondering whether they're going to get off here tonight and keep going?
Yeah, so I'll take you back a bit because I'm talking about I'm a fighter that motivates me, all that. That's cool now, but that wasn't it in the beginning. What motivated me in the beginning was part of the fighter mentality too. It was kind of proven to people that I could do this, but more importantly, proven to myself because I wanted to prove to myself that I had what it took to build a business, right? It just happens to be in the insurance industry. But I'll tell you this: what I think would motivate people. are things that really motivated me in the beginning. And this is like back to when we started Experior, not in my Primerica day. I'm talking like when we started Experior, we didn't have any money. There were 7 of us sitting around a boardroom table, and it was me, and 4 out of the 5 were part-timers, and one of them was my wife and one of them was me. So I mean, like, we didn't have a lot going on when we started this thing, and our boardroom table was one of those fold-up plastic deals, you know. So I'm not talking like a fancy office. Like, we had no money. And I'll tell you what motivated me was to have my wife be able to go to the grocery store or Costco, God forbid, and me not have to ask her how much she spent when she got home. That motivated me as a man like you wouldn't believe. I felt like as a man, I'm to provide for my family. And I was nickel and diming her. We were putting a budget each week on how much she was going to spend on groceries. She came home with Heinz ketchup one time. That lit a fire. I'm like,
That's
what
a
are
bad
you?
day.
I'm like, what are we rich now? We're going to be going Heinz ketchup. You could have went to the dollar store. What's going on, right? I mean, I'll tell you, I wanted that so bad that my wife never had to ask me for money. No, she never asked me for money. I'm not saying like, you know, it's not like that. But I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, right? We both work the business together. But
Right.
as a man, I wanted to provide. Number 2 is I wanted to be able to go to the gas station, Jeremy, and pull the freaking handle until it clicks. Okay. Not
Yeah.
have to check my bank account every time I go to pump my gas. I want to just pull the handle till it clicks. Now it can be minus 20 degrees. I'm pulling that son of a bitch till it clicks every time because I
Right.
can't. That was as stupid as that sounds. That was one of my motivators, was just being able to not have the stress of money. I wanted that so bad. So I guess I was running away from pain more than I was running towards pleasure. So what you need to figure out is, if you're struggling right now and you're kind of on that paycheck to paycheck or paycheck to almost paycheck, you're not sure where the next one's coming in, you need to dig down deep, find out what is it that you really want out of this business. What would get you excited? Most people don't know. Mark Twain, right? Shania's brother? No. Mark Mark Twain said, I can show any man, and of course, this is back in the day when it was all men, right? I can show any man how to get what they want if I can only find one that knows what they
Knows
want,
what he wants. Yep.
right?
That's
So
good.
I just think we got to know what we really want out of this thing called life. You know, some people say life is short. What are you talking about? This is the longest damn thing you're ever going to do here on earth.
That's right.
You better figure out what you want, right? And I think I just got crystal clear on what I wanted. And now, as a former non-champion wrestler, I figured, well, I can be a champion entrepreneur.
That's
So
right.
our goals, you know, we want to do some big things. I think.
If I hear you correctly, you're giving people permission to worry about making money in the beginning, and they don't necessarily have to have that all benevolent why. Have you been to those meetings? You got to have that all benevolent why before you make it big. That
Oh
one
my gosh.
confused me for a couple years as a pastor, but I got over it. I mean, not that I don't have a why, but you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, dude, I remember going to one, and this one guy would get up, and he was a great speaker, man. And he always motivated me and stuff, but not enough to get to work. Like, he just motivated me. It made me feel good for a minute. The problem is, everyone's got motivation, but we got to be more concerned with discipline, because the motivation wears off. It's the discipline that keeps you in shape. We're all motivated at New Year's. I'm gonna lose 20 pounds this year. I'm gonna lose 50 pounds this year. That's great, and I'm glad you're motivated. But unless you have the discipline to back it up, you're going to be a tub of goo at the end of this year, just like you were at the start of this year, right? And I'm speaking from experience because I put on 20 and I got to drop back down again. But anyway, um, I'll tell you, yeah, I used to hear these people talking about, you know, look at what $1 million. This one guy broke down what $1 million your income could do. I remember this meeting like it was yesterday. You got your lease on your car, 2,000 a month. You got your mortgage at 8,000 a month. You got, your charity at 1,500 a month or whatever it was. Like, he went through all these different expenses. He goes, that's how you live on $1 million. And then you give some away, you tithe, you do this, you do that. And I'm like, I just want to be able to, pay off my credit card.
Right.
It's been at the $2,500 max. I keep paying it down $5 lower, and then it's back up over again. I'm getting charged over penalty on it. Like, that's where I'm at. So, but again, what kept me motivated was my back against the wall.
Yeah.
One quick story. I didn't share this in my book, but and by the way, if anyone's interested, and I'm not doing this as a plug for my book, but I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of non-Experior people have read my book, and they said they loved it, just the stories to kind of learn how
It is a great book.
because it's kind of a self-improvement book, except it's real. It's not some guy that wrote a book on how to win. It's like we've actually started to win and kind of share some of our nuggets, but we also talk about 25 of our executive directors in the company that have done great things. So you can't fall off the floor, and it's free. So you can go onto YouTube, you can get it for free. It's on my YouTube channel now. So you can just watch it for free if you want. But I forget where we going before that.
You were going to tell me a story that's not in the book.
Yeah, story not in the book. Oh shoot, I forget now.
That's okay. Was it about adversity? Because we were talking about how it's okay to make money at the beginning and not worry about your why. Your why will come to you, won't it? I mean, if you stick around long enough, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I completely had a brain fart there, but
that's okay. You're human after all. How about that? All of us are, brother. All of us are. That's good, man. I appreciate you speaking directly to the new recruits like that, because one of the things that we really work hard here to show people how to expand their warm market. I actually got to a place where back when I was at another place, I would hear other people say, oh, let's get your top 10 list. And then I will watch this guy go sell 3 policies in somebody's warm market, then look at a new recruit and be like, hey, are you trained yet? And basically I'm kind of slimming that down, but that's the truth. Most people didn't go out and really spend time with that new recruit. So it kind of became one of my trademarks, was to show people other ways of marketing. There's a guy on here tonight, Trevor, that we work together on Facebook marketing. A lot of these people in here, we work together on just grassroots marketing stuff. Is there anything that you recommend to people for marketing that they should learn in this day and age?
For me, one thing we did when we launched Experior, I made sure that if you were on my Facebook or LinkedIn, I'm still kind of like, I have our staff run my Instagram because I don't quite get it yet. But my Facebook, I kind of mastered that. There's not a human being that's connected with me that logs into Facebook or LinkedIn that doesn't know what I do. Everybody knows what I do, right? There's not a person that doesn't. The question you got to ask yourself is, does everybody that knows you know what you do? Are you sharing about your business, or are you too worried about what they're going to think about you? And I'll tell you, when I lifted the biggest weight off my shoulders, it was probably about 7 years ago, maybe 3-4 years into building Experior. And I just lifted this weight off my shoulder. And that weight was caring what others thought about me. I just stopped caring what people thought about me, because I started realizing that even if I try and act like this great leader and I say all these fancy words and I articulate well and I don't say shit or ass in my talks, I'm still going to have people hate me. Or I can just be myself and I'm still going to have people hate me. So either way, I'm going to have people not like me. And either way, I'm going to have people like me. So why not just be myself and not worry about it, right? Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to try and improve and grow and get better. And, I try not to offend people as much as I can. But, sometimes I'm sarcastic by nature. Sometimes I have to, right? It's like,
right.
But
me too.
I just feel like if you lift that weight off your shoulder, you stop caring what people think. We're worried about what our friends or family will think. I see this all the time. And I'll tell you something, JT, one thing that bugs me is when people say, oh, that company that makes you go after your friends and family. Well, they don't say it about Experior so much, because a lot of the people we recruit are already experienced in the industry, and that's not really our world. But it still bothers me, because if my good friend from high school didn't put me on a names list to come sit down with me before he was licensed, by the way, the day he got licensed, he didn't even get licensed, sorry, the day he passed his exam, he got into a car accident, didn't have the money because he didn't have insurance on the car because he's a dummy, and he never ended up activating his license. Guess what? If he hadn't have field trained to come sit down with me, I would have never learned about the opportunity. And who knows how many years later, maybe someone might have come across my table. Thank God that my good buddy from high school put my name on a list and came to see me. I tell people this: you don't have to talk to your friends and family. I mean, shoot, that's your choice. But I would recommend you talk to those that you love and care about most. How's that one? I'm telling you, man, to me, if I didn't talk to my brother about life insurance and he dropped dead, I would feel like the biggest idiot on the planet. So guess what?
I agree with that.
I sold my brother a policy back in my Primerica days. And then when I left Primerica, I was able to change it over to something more competitive, more. So he's still a client of mine to this day. And I remember him calling me up. He gets shingles pretty bad from his fighting. He's an MMA coach. By the way, my brother's girlfriend is Jasmine Jasvidicious. If you follow the UFC,
I follow them too. Yep.
yeah, she's ranked number 13 in the world right now. She's got a fight coming up, I think February 8th in Saudi Arabia. She's the first UFC woman fighter in Saudi Arabia,
Oh,
February 8th. So that's really cool. I'm excited about that. But anyway, my brother gets shingles pretty bad. He's had them since his wrestling days. And I think it's from the farmers that wrestle. They get it from the cows. And I don't know. Probably the guys in Iowa. I'm not sure what happened. But anyways, my brother gets shingles
Don't
pretty
make
bad.
me
They were calling
offended,
me up not
Jamie.
long ago. What's that?
Don't offend me. I'm over here in Iowa. You be wonderful.
Is your husband out there wrestling with the cows, bringing that ringworm and the?
You know what? I don't touch cows. You.
So
the cows are
Jamie,
beautiful.
Jamie,
but he felt. So
it's
my
not
brother
her
felt.
husband, it's Chrissy herself. They're out there wrestling with the cows. I just
Oh,
want to
dear.
let you know that.
Well, anyway, my brother calls me up and he's like deathly ill, like feels like he's gonna die. He wasn't, he's being dramatic, but he felt like a dog. He calls me up and goes, "Hey, bro." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "How much life insurance I got?" So I tell him and he goes, "All right, cool." He goes, "I might not make it through this one." I'm like, "Oh, shut up, man." But it's just cool to know that God forbid if something happens to my brother, I know that his niece and his girlfriend are taken care of. I know
That's
that
right.
and that to me is like we sometimes forget the noble profession that we're in. And I
Yep.
get you don't have to bug your friends and family and be that guy at Christmas that no one wants to be around, but at least give them the option one time or another. Like, hey, listen, I sell life insurance, brother Chris, sister Corey, sister Jenna. Yeah, I know that. Are you interested in getting some? Do you have something in place? No, we're good. Okay, well, listen, I just want to let you know if you ever need it, let me know. I won't bug you about it again. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
That's
To
right.
me, you've done your job, right? So,
Yeah. Hey, to be clear on my comment, I was picking on the trainers that do that leave them at, 3 sales and they're on their own, not the actual making a list of friends and family. Because I do believe I'm with you on that one.
no.
You
Oh,
should
no, I
you
wasn't
should talk to
referring to any
people
of
you
your
love.
comments, but
Yeah. Now I had a lady call me last night, and her mom was missing, and they found her. And I had spoke with this lady about life insurance before for her mom, and it's amazing to me. But she said my mom going missing and then us finding her changed the perspective. It really changed the perspective. So we're working on something for her. But if you don't help your friends and family, who else is going to? Really, is what it boils down to. But there is
I,
more ways. That'll get you started, but there's definitely more ways. Hey guys, in about 5 minutes we go to our question and answer session. So, and Jamie, we do about 15 minutes of question and answer here in about
sure.
about 5 minutes. So you've came a long way since Primerica days, obviously. And I look back on that and I think, well, thank God, like you talk about your friend, thank God that he talked to you that day. I thank God somebody talked to me. But I'm also thankful that I came and I've moved on and found something that was absolutely better. What would you say is the benefits? I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. What's the benefits of our company compared to many companies? Like what's that value proposition makes us stand out?
I think our number one is transparency. We're just not full of crap. Like we just tell you the truth. Like we tell you what it is. Like if you want to know, here it is. Some people. I remember when I started recruiting some people. They're like, and they started recruiting like Jamie. Can I show them this? Can I show my person I'm pro? Can I send them an email? Because then they'll have a copy of it. I'm like, yeah, dude, send them an email. Freaking share it on Google. I don't give a crap. Like, let's get it out there. There's a reason I do videos on our comp plan, which aren't even up to date. I got to lose 10 more pounds before I do my next video because otherwise I'll look like a guy. The last one. But I'll tell you, like that IMO of the future video, it kind of breaks it down in layman's term. It's not completely detailed. I believe in transparency. I just think that the industry that we're in is not transparent enough. And that's one thing I think is huge with us. The other thing is people don't know what to call us. Are we a builder's model? Are we a producer's model? Are we a hybrid? No, we're a tribrid. We looked at the producers models and we have competitive comp. Yes, can you go to some company direct and get a potentially higher contract? Sure. You're likely going to have certain requirements to hit those numbers month by month. But just as an example, like we're paying 117 at our top grid with an F&G IUL. Well, I got guys that'll say, well, I'm at 120. Well, I'm at 125. Okay, that's cool. Do you pay out 143% on your grid total to the sales force on that F&G IUL? The answer is probably no, because unless you're an IMO, you're probably not making comp enough to do that, right? The other question is, okay, how much are you making on the team that you're bringing in? So a lot of guys, they try and start their own deal and they'll be like, well, I'm going to give everyone this top contract and I'm going to keep 5%. Okay, what's that 5% going to do for the agent? What value are you bringing to them? Other than you train them, okay, that's good. Now they're trained. Now they're as good as you. Now what value? Do you have technology? Do you have systems, back office? You're providing leads? What are you doing for that 5%? Right? I don't see that it makes a lot of sense for most people if they're just producers to just stay under someone. You might as well just appoint direct with everyone else if that's the road you're going to go long term, unless you have a system that is designed for you to produce, get higher comps. All carriers across the board, you can get decent comps. We have a producer track and a builder's track. And it's not to deter from what we are. I believe we're a builder's company. We're for builders. But again, some people don't understand us. I'll give you one example. They assume that because we don't pay as much in the agents, they assume because we pay so much in the agency, okay, like the base shop, as most companies call it, that we must be sacrificing on the generational overrides. We must not pay as much on the generational overrides until you line us up side by side with World Financial Group, and we're virtually the same. You line us up side by side with GFI, we're virtually the same. You line us up side by side with any three-letter company, we're virtually the same on the generational overrides. What's the difference? We pay the freaking people that are selling the freaking policies. Oh, and you got some big generational overrides. Well, how's that possible? People say, you guys are going to go out of business. You're not going to last. You can't pay that much. I'm like, no, you can pay that much. The company that you're with is owned by a big daddy. They sold out. They're a public company. They care more about shareholders than they do about the profit of their agents. I said, I can't control that, but don't say we're going to go out of business. I just said with 9 figures last year, 8.5 EBITDA, do the math. We run a $100 million operation over here. We're okay. The bills are getting paid. The lights didn't go off during this meeting, right? So
Right.
I think that if you really look at the whole picture logically and you go, oh my gosh, they've got strong compensation for producers. Again, not always going to be the best, but strong, competitive. We're not robbing an agent. And we've got the generational overrides to compete with everyone else in that builder's world. Oh boy, I am sorry, all my competitors, but we are going to kick your ass.
I love it. I love it. I'm a builder. I love recruiting and building a team. And so I'm appreciative for the model. Believe me, I am. And I am also appreciative for the comp that you can make working here. And it's neat to be able to sit down with somebody and be honest with them and say, you know what? Because you have people that say, I just want to sell. I don't want to do the recruiting. I could never actually honestly say that before. Now I can actually honestly say, look, here's the plan for you then. And I appreciate that, Jamie. Thank you.
And just to throw it out there, I mean, our numbers are, if you've earned 75,000 in 6-month cash flow, you're already at the top executive director compensation. And then with the monthly bonuses that you're doing on your production, which is built part and parcel of your comp, it's not like it's paid separate, it's paid part and parcel. You're already up to a 117 comp on F&G. I mean, that's a decent comp. It's not the best in the world, but it's strong, right? You know, you're at a 130 with Mutual of Omaha's simplified issue. Again, not many people sell that product, but you know, and that's where the grid people go, oh, well, you don't say what the grid is. There's a percentage of. I'm like, what are you talking about? We actually wrote the word fine print in the center of the damn description of how our comp works. We're not trying to hide it. I put it in the center and it says fine print in bold. Okay, it's not that fine. We want people to understand our comp model, right?
That's good. I love it. And I'm grateful for it. I am. I've kind of ran into question and answer time. So I want to see if anybody's got it. Yeah, now you're good. You're good. We'll keep right on going. But I just want to see if anybody's got any questions. If anybody, let me switch my screen here and see who's got their hand up. And if anybody wants to jump in here, have some questions for Jamie tonight. And you can feel free to jump in even if you don't have your hand up, guys. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I must have asked all the questions, Jamie.
I got
hand up.
I got my hand up.
Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Jamie. So you said you were primarily a personal producer when you came in. I was primarily a builder. See, I like building teams. What was it that took? What was it that had to shift in your mind and what were the tools that you used to build a more balanced business, a balanced organization? So you're not just writing on your own pen, but you're not just recruiting the world and riding off of their production. what is it that you do to make this really, really a good, well-balanced business?
So now this isn't the gospel, but this is just my belief. Okay, this is what I believe. I believe that you need to produce first. You need to stay in business to build a business. You got to make money. Everyone talks about my spouse ain't supportive. My kids think I'm crazy. My parents don't like that I'm doing this. I'll ask them, how much did you make last week? Listen, money talks, right? Money talk. You start making money, all of a sudden you got a supportive spouse on your hands. She's like, baby, why are you going to the office again? Why are you on another Zoom meeting? She's like, hey, baby, don't you have a meeting tonight? It changes. The tone changes when you start bringing money home. So I think that you need to be a producer for a period of time and build as you go. Build as you go. Now we have people that come in and they're making, like we had Juan Jaime, as many of you guys know that name. The guy was making $1 million and almost 2 million a year when he joined us. His last month when he resigned and started cold turkey with us, he made 150 grand at WFG. Comes to Experior, makes zero because by the time contracting hits and everything, zero the next month. Well, that's a big risk. But I'll tell you what, he didn't come in here to personally produce because he already paid his dues at WFG. He was there for 19 years. He came here to flat out build, right? And that's what he's doing. But we all don't have that luxury. I certainly didn't have that luxury when we launched Experior. I needed to personally produce still while we were building the company. So I was probably one of the top producers in Experior for the first 5 or 6 years. And then once it started taking on a life of its own. See, what people don't realize is we have over 8,000 agents now. It took us 8 years to get to 1,500. You hear what I said? 8 years to get to 1,500. Now, 3 years later, we're at 8,000. You understand we're starting to get some compound effect, right? I can start investing more time into building. Normally, I'd be out in the field at this time of night, but now I can be here on a Zoom entertaining people and talking about building an empire, right? But I couldn't do that in the start. So, Jason, to answer your question, make money as a first priority, go out there, service clients, help families, and recruit along the way. That's my recommendation.
Awesome.
Good answer. Good answer.
Fantastic.
Hey, Trevor, I see you got a question, buddy. Got your hand up.
Yeah. So aside from, I do a lot of recruiting for agents sometimes, and the only way that I typically do it is I just go by the numbers. Is like, hey, if you work with this person, higher comp, and I'm running their leads, so it's good. But if that doesn't work, aside from leads and higher comp, what, because it ends up kind of becoming like mercenary work the second they find a better comp at that point. Like, what would you do if you wanted to recruit, like, say, 10 agents, if offering higher comp and leads wasn't something that they were interested in?
Great question. I very rarely recruit people on higher comp, and I never recruit people on leads because I don't know how to sell them or market them. So the way I do it is I talk about our system. I talk about the structure we've built. Yes, the comp is part and parcel of that. You know, you're not going to work at GFI for 80% top comp if you can come over here and make 130 top comp, or even after the factory 117. That's just math. But I think the important thing is for you to recognize that people want to feel like they're a part of something. And if they can buy into the culture of what we do, the technology that we have, the fact that their business to do with Experior is going to be easier than it is somewhere else. I've had people that have come over from different organizations. One of them, Simon Makika, this guy's making $500,000 with us right now, been with us 2 years. He left FFL at a 145 contract. How did I recruit that guy? Because he saw the system and the override that we developed. And we have a way to grandfather people into the model and over time graduate them in. So there's all different ways that we can do it, Trevor. But I think one of the big things is just getting them to be a part of the business. I've had people ask me in the past, Jamie, would you rather have a lone wolf producer, or would you rather have a rookie who's showing up to everything? I would rather have a rookie that's showing up to everything, because I know that they're going to learn how to do it right. I'm not going to have a compliance risk or a flight risk on them. I know that they're going to be committed to the organization, because over time, they're going to learn more and more about us. And the one cool thing about Experior is the more someone learns about us, the more they love us. Most companies, the more you learn about them, the less you like them. That's why I think a lot of the recruiters out there, it's like the less I tell you, the easier it is to recruit you. With Experior, it's like the more I tell you, the easier it is to recruit you, right? I don't know if that answered your question or not, but.
I like that
It
answer.
kind of does, but it's good. It's a good enough answer for me to go with the rest of the way myself.
Cool. If you need help with that,
Fantastic.
Trevor, let me know. Hey, Jamie, I had somebody send me a question, and anybody else has any questions, raise your hand or jump in. But and I'm hoping I read this the right way. But what's the differences between you as a leader or an upline in this company compared to other leaders in other companies?
I think there's great leaders in all companies. I mean, I was at Primerica and everyone dogs them and Primerica's this and that. Dude, I know some of the coolest salt of the earth, God-fearing human beings that work at Primerica that they would give the shirt off their back to help a homeless man. I mean, they're just amazing, amazing people that work at all companies. So I wouldn't say there's much different. I do think that at the helm of organizations, it does tend to get a little bit more corporate. And I understand as you get bigger, I understand there's some moving parts, but there are certain values and principles that we will never bend on as a company. And that's why I think people can appreciate Experior. Oh, Monique, great question.
You saw that? Good.
Yeah, I got to answer that one because this one people don't understand that one. So I was in Primerica my 10th year. By the way, the month that I resigned from Primerica, I made 17 grand that month, which do the math. I was making 100 grand a year average, right? 17 grand was a good month. So it wasn't like I was coming off of a bad, quarter or whatever. I was doing pretty good from my perspective at the time. And I had a guy approach me on Facebook and he said to me, "Hi, Jamie, are you still with Primerica?" Now, at the time, my wife was actually we just had our baby. So my daughter's 13 now. And we just had our baby. She was a couple months old. And my wife and I went to a meeting with a company called Visalis, which sells like milkshakes that make all your fat disappear, right? So we went to this meeting to try and save our cousin, my wife's cousin, from joining Visalis because she was also in our Primerica business. Well, we went to the meeting and the guy's at the front talking about, "I've been doing Visalis for a year. I own a Rona hardware store and I do Visalis. And I made 200 grand last year in commissions." I'm like, "What? I've been in Primerica at this time for 10 years and this guy's making 200 grand after 1 year. I'm like, "What's going on?" I've never been to one of these like MLM things before, even though I was in Primerica for so many years, right? And I remember going up to him after. I said, "Bro, would you show me with your T4? That's like a 1099 in the US. I said, "Would you show me your 1099 so you can prove that to me?" He goes, "Absolutely." He goes, "I'll even show you my bank account." I said, "So you legit make this kind of money?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "That's cool." I said, "Leanne, maybe this is something you could do on the side while I keep running Primerica," because she wasn't able to come to the office and everything. We just had a baby, right? So she starts doing these little Visalis things and I helped her promote it and stuff. I'm still 100% Primerica, but my wife's doing the Visalis, right? And she started to make a bit of money. She made 2 grand her first month. I'm like, holy crap, that's some good extra money. Well, then my upline calls me into the office. Long story altogether, my son got really sick, got kidney failure the weekend that we were at a Visalis event that my wife was in, making the decision that she was going to move ahead. I talked to a guy at the Visalis meeting and I said, "How can you leave one company to go to another when you were already making hundreds of thousands a year?" This was one of the big guys at the big Visalis meeting. "You're making hundreds of thousands a year and you left that company to come to Visalis. Why would you do that?" And he goes, "Jamie, it was simple." Now I know he's just talking the MLM talk now. He goes, "But none of my people were making money over here. I moved to Visalis. Now everyone's making money," that type of thing. But he said something to me that bothered me. He goes, "Jamie, I challenge you to go to your office on Monday." Because I told him I'm an RVP, I got the ring, He goes, "Go to your office on Monday and check out how your incomes of your people are." And I felt sick when he told me that because I knew what I was going to see. I mentally quit Primerica that day when I saw that my number one guy, I had 27 licensed agents. My number one guy was at 9,000 in 12-month cash flow. I mentally quit that day. Now, that same day that I mentally quit, didn't quit yet, but mentally quit. That same day, I didn't know what I was going to do with the rest of my life either. I'm like, maybe I'll sell cars or whatever. My wife will do Visalis. We didn't know, man. I was just like, I was sick. I'm like, I'm working too hard for too little. Office expenses, like we're frustrated. That afternoon, my son got rushed to the Hamilton Sick Kids Hospital, which is about an hour from our house. Deathly ill, was in ICU, ended up having complete kidney failure. Years later, got a kidney transplant, still struggles health-wise. He's 23 years old now. He was only 10 at the time. All that to say this, my upline, my friend, the guy that was the MC at my wedding, calls me into the office during my son being in the hospital, him knowing that I'm pretty much checked out of Primerica, but I'm still going through the motions. And he said to me, he goes, "Jamie, what the hell's wrong with you? What the heck's your wife doing this Visalis thing? You know, Primerica is the greatest thing in the world." He starts cussing me out. Here, I thought he was going to offer his condolences, maybe, give us a gift to give to our son that he's known for the last 7 years since my wife and I got together. And by the way, he's my stepson, but he's my son, Addison. So anyways, long story short, I was so angry. I even talked to my pastor after. My pastor's office was right down the strip mall from my upline's off. I talked to him. He's such a jerk. And he goes, Jamie, don't make any rash decisions. God has a plan, this and that. I'm like, okay. Sure enough, a couple days later, a guy approaches me on Facebook and says, hey, Jamie, are you still with Primerica? Because he doesn't see me posting all the Primerica like I used to. And I said, yeah, I'm with Primerica still. Why? And I didn't know who the guy was. He goes, well, I was with Primerica for 18 years. I just left because I found out being a broker, I can offer way better solutions for clients, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you selling whole life or universal life? right. He goes, nope. Now, thankfully, he wasn't, because I was so brainwashed, I might not have listened to him, right? But he said, nope, I only sell term. And then I was like, well, how do you make any money selling term? Because we're taught that you can't make money selling term in the industry, right? All the stuff we're told. So anyway, long story short, I drove to his office 45 minutes from my house. My wife on the ride down, she goes, if this guy sells whole life or universal life, we're walking out the door. I go, you got that right. We're not sacrificing our souls for this guy, right? Anyway, we sit down with him. I kid you not. All he did was he went to termforsale.com. In Canada, it's termforsale.ca. Term, the number 4, termforsale.com. And he pulls up, quotes. He goes, give me some examples of clients you have. I said, well, I got my mom. Pulls up my mom. At the time, my mom was 50. My mom only had me when she was 17 years old. So my mom's 50 at the time. She's a smoker at the time. She's since quit, but she's a 50-year-old smoker. And you know this, smoker rates and women rates are the worst in Primerica. So he hit me hard. I could have sold my mom a whole life policy cheaper than the term policy she bought with Primerica. I felt sick. I then quit Primerica that day. I said, I can't sell this anymore. He goes, Jamie, that's exactly how I felt. And then I said, by the way, how much money do we make selling this? I already quit. Like, I didn't actually put in my termination letter, but I quit. Like, mentally, I'm done. I'm never going to sell another Primerica policy. I was so mad. He recruited me on the crusade because I felt like I was this holier than thou human, helping save the world, making everyone's situation better. Just the way that, and that's why now when we recruit Primerica agents, it's so hard if you were never a Primerica agent to recruit a Primerica agent. You don't understand that culture. And by the way, there's parts of the culture I really enjoyed, but there's parts of it where it's just, unless you've been there, done that, you're not going to be able to get them over here.
Right?
So that's how I left Primerica. A month or so later, I wrote my first bunch of policies. I, went out, started making money. Actually started making some decent money. My first year made 300 grand. That was more than I'd ever made in my life. And that was cool. My wife and I together bought our first home, and the rest is kind of history. We still struggled a bit. We started Experior, office expenses, stuff like that. We weren't too flush. But 5-6 years into building Experior, I stepped out of the field, got more into the CEO role and building. And now we're just too blessed to be stressed, brother. I mean, we got a lot of great things going on, and we're helping a ton of people. It seems like every day or two, I'm announcing another 6-figure ring earner. I just announced another one today before the meeting. Just had a couple guys crack over $1 million last year. I mean, these were like dreams of mine that I never, it was not even in my picture at one point. And now it's like, oh my gosh, guys cracking. Some guy last week crossed $500,000. Juan Jaime, he's only been with this for 6 months, right? I'm just like, holy crap, this is crazy. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
It is great, Jamie. Listen, I want to keep it right at an hour because I appreciate you coming in and everybody's had a chance to ask a question. Where can people follow you at so they can keep track of, what's going on with Jamie?
Yeah, for sure. On my Facebook, definitely. I use Facebook personally the most. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, but that's mostly our staff kind of just posting updates with Experior on there and stuff. And then on my YouTube channel, we're putting out a lot of good content right now. And as I said, if you subscribe to that, you'll get notified in that. I don't do YouTube to make money. I'm not Patrick Bet David. I think I got like 5,000 people following me or something. I'm just a small deal, But
so is that your next step? You're going to be an influencer?
No, I'm not going to be an influencer. I don't see interviewing Trump in my near future at all.
Oh man.
No. Listen, bro. I'm here to build the industry. I'm here to make the industry better. That's what I care about. I don't need to be a celebrity. I want to change this industry for the better.
Me too.
That one day, people are going to see what we have, and if you're not with us, I think you'll at least know what we are, and you'll have respect for it one day. As we continue to grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jamie, I appreciate you so much, and I'm with you on that one. I knew we were kindred souls when I read that dedication to that book, because that's why we're here doing what we do. We're fighting for people. So I appreciate you, man. And guys, Jamie, maybe we'll have part 2 somewhere down the road.
Yeah,
We'll
man. Look
talk about
forward
it
to
at
it.
convention. So, all right, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you all for coming out. It's been a good night. And hey, Jamie, I'll send you this recording when we get it all edited up. Okay. Hey,
Sounds
thanks,
good,
guys,
man.
for coming out. Appreciate